All right, so for number 2, we want to write this in point-slope form, okay? So what do you guys recall about point-slope form? What is point-slope form? What's the equation for point-slope form? Y minus what? Y minus y1 equals what? M times x minus x1, right? And remember, we're just trying to fill in the things that belong in the y1 spot, in the m spot, and in the x1 spot. So if we know those things, we can just fill them in, right? Okay, so for number 2, we know that x1 is this number, -3, and y1 is this number here, and this number, -1, this is our slope, so this is m, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's plug those things in. So we're going to get y minus y1 is 4 equals m was -1, times x minus -3. Now what happens when we get that double negative for the -3? Yeah, it really turns into +3, right? So our final answer, y minus 4 equals -1 times x plus 3. Okay? Does that make sense on that one? Okay, so there's our final answer there. Number 2. Okay, now let's take a look at number 4. So here's your x1, here's your y1, here is your m, because that's your slope. So we're going to go ahead and plug in y minus y1 is 1 equals m is 3, times x minus x1 is 2. Is there anything I need to simplify here? No, so this is the final answer for number 4. Okay? That's it. All right, are there questions on those two, on how we did those? Okay, all right, let's take a look at number 6. Okay, there was a typo on this one. I asked you guys to please change that to 3. So if you did not change that, make sure you change it. Okay, we want to find the x and y intercept and the slope, and then we want to sketch the graph. So we're going to go ahead to find our x-intercept. We're going to let y be 0. So we're going to get 3x equals -15. Now, what do I need to do to solve this? Yeah, divide both sides by 3. Very good. So we get x equals -5. That is your x-intercept. Okay, for the y-intercept, we're going to let x be 0. So we're going to cover that up. Okay, so we get -5y equals -15. Now what am I going to do to solve that one? Divide both sides by -5. Good. So we get y equals +3. Okay, so we found our x-intercept, we found our y-intercept. Now, if they've given me a graph, I'm going to use the graph to help me. So I'm going to graph each of these points. So the x-intercept on the x-axis is at -5. The y-intercept is on the y-axis. It's at +3. I'm going to put both of those points there and connect them. So now you guys connect them if you haven't connected them yet. Okay, from there, the last thing I need to do still is find my slope. So to find my slope, I can use the graph I just made. I can count the rise and the run, right? So the rise is 1, 2, 3. Remember, I always start at the point on the left and I go to the right. So now my run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my slope, rise is 3, run is 5. So this is my other answer. Okay? Are there questions on how we did that one? Okay. All right. Let's take a look at numbers 8 and 10. The directions are the same for 8 and 10. It wants you to write the point-slope form of the equation of the line. Well, we already reviewed what point-slope form was. It was y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now, here, did they give you your m value? Did they give you your slope? No. So what do we need to do to find our slope? What are we going to do? Good. Okay, we're going to use the slope formula. The slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug in these values. Now, this one here will be my x1 and my y1, and this would be my x2 and y2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in each of those to find the slope. So first, my slope is -1 minus -4 over 3 minus 0. Now, what happens with this double negative right here? Does that turn into a plus, or at least a positive right there? Okay, 3 minus 0 is 3. So now all I need to figure out is what is -1 plus 4. Well, I'm not really adding, right? They're two different signs, so I'm really subtracting, so I get 3 and I add more positives. What's 3 divided by 3? 1. Okay, so 1 is my slope. So now I have my slope, which is this number, and I have an x1 and a y1. So do I have enough information to write the equation? Okay, so the equation is y minus, what is y1? -4 equals m, what was m? 1 times x minus, what was x1? 0, okay? So, at a minimum, you should have this as your answer. Now, some of you may realize that x minus 0 is just x, right? And 1 times x is just what? X. So, you can have this answer, or I would also accept a simplified version, which would look like this. Either one of these answers is fine. If you just want to leave it, I'll count it right on the test. But if you want to simplify this 0 and this 1 over here and write it like this, I would give you that right too. Okay? Does that make sense there? Okay, how are we feeling about that one so far? Yeah? Are we okay? All right. I don't have that much room, so I'm going to do the other one, number 10, over here on this Post-it note over here. So this is going to be problem 10 over here. This one was number 8. Okay? So let me do the work right there. Okay? All right, so on this one, here's your x1, here's your y1, here's your x2, here's your y2. Okay? I want you guys to try plugging these points in and finding the slope right now. Okay? Okay, so let's check your work. For our slope, we should have plugged in y2, which was -3, minus y1 was -1. So on the top, we should have -3 minus -1. Is that what you guys got? Okay. On the bottom, we should have x2, which was 1, minus x1, which was 0. So now, this turns into -3 plus 1 over 1. What is -3 plus 1? -2 over 1. What's -2 over 1? -2. Okay, so there's our slope. Okay, now that we have our slope, we're going to use our point and our slope to write the equation of the line. So the equation of the line will be y minus y1 equals m was -2, times x minus x1. x1 was 0. Okay, you could write your final answer like this. Okay, with turning this double negative into a positive. Okay, you could also, I would also accept this if you wanted to simplify where there was the 0. I would also accept this just 2 times x. Does that make sense? Because what's x take away 0? X, right? If you forget the x, like right here, then it's wrong. If you forget the x in your answer, it's wrong. You have to have an x in your answer for that format. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, any questions there on that one? Okay. All right, let's look at number 12. Number 12 says sketch the graph of each line. So the line is y equals 2. Okay, this is kind of a funny looking equation, right? Do we have any x's in it? No. There's only a y and a number, right? What this means when you only have y and a number is it means this line has a y-intercept that's 2. Okay, it only has a y-intercept, and because there are no x's, it does not have an x-intercept. So I want you to go on your y-axis and put a point at positive 2.
Isn't it 2 over 1?
The number 2 is equivalent to 2 over 1. Okay, but when we're talking about the intercept, we're not talking about a slope here. We're talking about, this is telling us where the intercept is. Okay, so the intercept is at 2. All right. Now, if it never has an x-intercept, is this line ever going to go down this way or this way? Is it ever going to cross the x-axis? No. So what does this line have to do? It can't go this way, and it can't go this way. So what slope does this line have to have? 0 slope. It has to be flat or horizontal. So everyone make this line going flat or horizontal. This line only has a y-intercept, so it's going to be a horizontal line. It can never cross the x-axis because there are no x's in the equation of this line. Does that make sense to you guys? All right, so number 14, it wants us to write it in what form here? Standard. What does standard form look like? AX plus what? BY equals C. What do we know about the A term? It has to be what? Positive. Okay, are fractions allowed? No. No fractions in standard form, right? Now, what they've given us is they've given us a point and a slope. So what I think we should do is write this in point slope form and then convert it. Okay? So we can go ahead and do this in point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now let's simplify. Y plus 4 equals 4 times x plus 2. So now, how do I get this into standard form? What should I do first? Distribute the 4. Okay, good. So we're going to distribute that 4. Y plus 4 equals 4x plus, what's 4 times 2? 8. Okay, now, are there things that are on the wrong side? Everything's on the correct side here? What's on the wrong side? The x. Okay, let's move it by subtraction. So we get negative 4x plus y plus 4 equals, what's left over here? 8. Is there still stuff on the wrong side? Yeah, what's still on the wrong side? The 4. Okay, so let's subtract this 4. So we get negative 4x plus y equals 4. Okay, is this the final answer written in standard form? No, it's not. Why? Yeah, the A term is negative. We need it to be positive. So what are we going to do to all the parts? Divide by negative 1. Okay, that's going to change the sign on every single part. So here's what I get for my final answer on this. I'm ending up with 4x minus y equals negative 4. This is your final answer written in standard form. Okay? We've got the same type of problem. We want to write this into standard form. Okay, they gave us a point and a slope. Let's first write it into point slope form. Y minus negative 5 equals m is 2, times x minus negative 1. Okay. Oh, what number are we supposed to be doing? Not 15, right? Didn't we do 15 already? Okay, which one? 16. Okay. Sorry. sorry about that. Okay, let me get a new. Okay. Let's take a look. Let's do number 16. Okay, so for number 16, we would get y minus -4 equals m, what was m? 0 times x minus -3. Okay, let's go ahead and rewrite this. Okay, so we get y plus 4 equals 0 times x plus 3. Okay, let's distribute the 0. Okay, so here we get y plus 4 equals, what's 0 times x? 0. What's 0 times 3? 0. What's 0 plus 0? 0. What's left on that side? 0. Okay? Now, in this case, my x totally disappeared, right? So I have no x's, or I have 0 x's. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to just move the other things into the places that they belong since we don't have any x's left. Does that make sense? So let's go ahead and move which number? The 4 over to the other side. Okay? And so we're just going to get y equals -4. Since we don't have any x's left, this is the closest we can get to standard form. So this will be your final answer. Okay, does that make sense? So that was all we could do on that one. Okay? All right. Okay, let's take a look at number 20 and 22, what you're supposed to be doing here. Okay, on 20 and 22, it says write the slope-intercept form of the equation of each line given the slope and the y-intercept. So it wants it in this form. What does slope-intercept form look like? Y equals what? mx plus b. That is a form you should have memorized, right? Okay, so what is your m in this one? Yeah, your -3/4, the slope. What is your b? 0. So we're going to plug in y equals -3/4 x plus 0. Now, what is really this plus 0? Nothing. Like 0 is nothing, so this plus nothing is just itself, right? So here's your final answer. You don't even really need that plus 0 there. Does that make sense on that one? Yeah or no? Yeah? Are we okay on that? Okay. All right, let's take a look at number 22. Okay, on number 22, we're going to get y equals what? Yeah, -3/2 times x. What's your y-intercept? So it's positive, so plus 2. This is your final answer for number 22. Okay? Are there questions on how we did that one? Did we skip number 18? Okay, let's go back and do number 18 really quick. Okay, it wants us to find the slope of this line. We're going to go from left to right. So find your rise, find your run. What was your rise? 1. What was your run? 3. That's your slope. Okay. All right. Are there any questions on that one? Okay. All right. Number 24. Number 24 says, write the point slope form of the equation of the line through the given points. Okay. So, if it wants the point slope form, do we have the slope yet? No. So we're going to go ahead and find the slope. So we did some problems like this on the other side, right? Can you guys use your x1, y1, and your x2, y2 to find your slope? Okay. Okay, so let's check what you guys got for your slope. -5 minus -1 over 4 minus -2. That turns into -5 plus 1 over 4 plus 2. On the top, we get -4 And on the bottom, we get 6. Can I reduce that slope? What does that slope reduce to? 2 over what? 3. Okay, so we get negative 2/3 for our slope. This is the number we want to use to write our equation. So we're going to use our x1 and y1 and this slope value. Y minus y1 equals m is negative 2/3 times x minus x1. Now simplify. Y plus 5 equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. That's your final answer for number 24. Okay, are there questions, Renee? Where did I get the 1? Was there not a 1 in there? Where did I get the 1 from? I don't know. Let's check. Okay, let's check our work. Negative, so y2 minus, what was y1? It's supposed to be negative 5. This is supposed to be a 5 here. Thank you for catching that. Okay, so what is this supposed to turn into? Negative 5 plus 5, which is what? What's negative 5 plus 5? 0. What's 0 divided by 6? Yeah, it's not negative 2/3. It's what? 0. So this whole thing right here is 0. So this is 0. So here's what you could have written. You could have written this, or you could have written y plus 5 equals, what's 0 times this whole thing? 0. So either one of these, because we got 0 for our slope. Thank you for catching that mistake. Okay. That looks better now. Okay, I don't know where I got the 1 from. Maybe just because I was plugging in y1, I wrote 1, something like that. Okay. All right. Are there questions on that one? Okay. All right. Okay, let's go to this one, number 26. Okay, the instructions on number 26 say, write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line. Okay, so for this one here, we want to write it as y equals mx plus b. All right, m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. So what is your m and what is your b? You need to know those things. So what's your b value? It's down here. This is the y-intercept. It's, bless you, it's negative 2. Okay, what's the m value? So I rose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I ran 1. So what is my slope? 6 over 1, which is just 6. Okay, so here's your final answer. Y equals 6x minus 2. That one wasn't too bad, right?
No.
Okay, easy?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's look at the last one, number 28. Okay, we want to write this one in point-slope form. That means I need a point and I need a slope. They want me to use the point provided, so I'm going to use this point first. So everyone, let's write down the ordered pair of that point. The ordered pair is 5, negative 4. Okay, that is going to be your x1, your y1. Okay, now, what is the slope? Well, you got to pick another good point to find your slope. Okay, so let's pick another point. I see another point right here. Let's find our rise and our run. What's your rise and your run? So 2 over 1, which is just 2 for our slope, right? Now, let's plug this into point-slope form. So y minus negative 4 equals 2 times x minus 5. Do I want that in my final answer right there? No. So what am I going to get? Y plus 4 equals what? 2 times x minus 5. That's your final answer. Okay? All right. Are there questions on that one? Okay, so that's all the evens done.